All right, let's jump right into a topic you absolutely have to nail for your exams: quadratic equations. Seriously, this pops up in WAEC, JAMB, and NECO. And by the end of this session, you are going to feel so much more confident tackling any question they throw at you. Hey everyone, I'm Ochoko, and it's awesome to be here with you. Think of me as your personal math coach. Every single week from now until your exams, I'll be right here breaking down all those tricky topics into really simple, manageable steps. We're in this together. And hey, before we really get going, here's a quick tip. If you're looking for daily practice with exam questions that are explained super clearly, you've got to subscribe to www.examkp.com. It's an amazing way to stay on top of your game. So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to build your quadratic equation toolkit, get you all the essentials. Then we'll put those tools to the test with real questions from past WAEC, JAMB, and NECO papers. And to finish off, I'll give you some of my best tips for success. Sound good? Let's go. You know, you can't build a house without the right tools, right? Well, it's the same with math. This section is all about loading up your toolkit with everything you need to confidently solve any quadratic equation you see. So what even is a quadratic equation? It's really just any equation that you can arrange into this specific format: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. The key thing to remember, the number one rule, is that a, the number in front of the x squared, can never ever be 0. Otherwise, it's not a quadratic anymore. Okay, so how do we actually solve them? Well, you've got three main weapons in your arsenal. First up is factorization, which is usually the quickest method. Then you've got the almighty quadratic formula. This is your secret weapon. It works on everything. And finally, there's completing the square. We're going to focus on the first two today because they're the most common. And here it is, the star of the show, the quadratic formula. You need to get this into your head. Memorize it, write it out, whatever it takes. It might look a little scary, but trust me, this is your master key for solving any quadratic equation, period. Alright, is your toolkit ready? Because it's time to get our hands dirty. We're stepping into the gauntlet, starting with a real question from a past WAEC exam. This is where the theory gets real. Here's our first challenge, straight out of the WAEC 2019 paper. WAEC just loves these kinds of word problems where you have to set up the equation yourself. It says the length of a rectangle is 3 centimeters more than its width. If the area is 40 centimeters squared, find the dimensions. Okay, whenever you see a word problem, the very first thing you do is turn those words into math. Let's draw it out. Let's call the width W. Now the problem says the length is 3 centimeters more than its width. So what's the length? It's just W plus 3. See? Not so bad. Let's walk through this. First, the equation. We know area is length times width, so that's W times W plus 3 equals 40. Now let's get it into that standard form we talked about. Multiply it out to get W squared plus 3W equals 40. Bring the 40 over to the other side and we have W squared plus 3W minus 40 equals 0. Perfect. Time to factorize. We need two numbers that multiply to give us negative 40 and add up to give us plus 3. Let's think. How about positive 8 and negative 5? Yes! So our factors are W plus 8 and W minus 5. This means W could be negative 8 or W could be 5. But wait a second. Can a rectangle have a negative width? No way. So we toss out the negative 8. The width has to be 5 centimeters. And if the width is 5, the length is 5 plus 3, which is 8 centimeters. And there you have it, our final answer. Fantastic. One down. Now let's switch gears and tackle a JAMB question. JAMB loves to test your knowledge of little shortcuts like the sum and product of roots. If you know the formula, these are free marks. Check this one out from JAMB 2017. Super direct. Find the sum of the roots of x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. Notice they're not asking you to find the actual roots, just their sum. This is a classic JAMB speed question. So how do we do this in like 10 seconds? First, just identify your A, B, and C. In this equation, A is 1, B is -4, and C is 3. Now you just need to remember the formula for the sum of roots. It's simply -b over A. Let's plug in the numbers. That's -4 divided by 1. The two negatives cancel out, so we get 4 divided by 1, which is just 4. Boom. Done. The sum of the roots is 4. See how easy that was? Hey, just pausing here for a second. If you want to get that fast and confident on all sorts of questions, the key is practice. So head over to www.examkp.com for daily practice with exam questions explained super clearly. It really makes a difference. All right, you're doing great. Time for our final challenge. A question from NECO. NECO really likes to put math into real-world situations like physics problems to see if you can apply what you know. So here's a NECO 2019 question about a projectile. Its height is given by this formula. H equals -5t squared plus 20t. Now the question is, find the time when it hits the ground. That phrase, hits the ground, is the entire key to the problem. In math terms, that just means the height, h, is 0. So first step, we set the whole equation to 0. -5t squared plus 20t equals 0. Now we can solve this by factoring. What's a common factor here? We can pull out a -5t. That leaves us with -5t times t minus 4 equals 0. So this gives us two possible answers. Either -5t equals 0, which means t is 0, or t minus 4 equals 0, which means t is 4. Now, what do these two answers mean in the real world? Well, t equals 0 is the start time, when the projectile is launched from the ground, and t equals 4 is when it lands back on the ground. The question asks when it hits the ground, so our answer has to be 4 seconds. And you did it. You've gone through the gauntlet and taken on WAEC, JAMB, and NECO. So let's bring it all together and create your master plan, your final tips to make sure you succeed. Okay, let's lock in these strategies. For WAEC, always try factorization first. It's usually much faster. For JAMB, know that sum of roots formula, -b over a. It's free marks. For NECO, get comfortable with those word problems because they really love testing real-world stuff. And hey, if you're struggling to remember the quadratic formula, try singing it to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. No, really, it works. And that is how you master quadratic equations. You've got the tools, you've seen the strategies in action, you are ready. You've totally got this. If this helped you out, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more guides. And don't forget, for tons more practice, visit www.examkp.com. Keep up the amazing work, and I'll catch you in the next one.